Hey everybody, Brian Gross here with Kalen outside of Swami Sivasubramanian's Keynote. And I think the underlying theme for today's keynote was just the pace of AI innovation. And interestingly, he actually used the phrase getting from idea to impact faster. So that pace of innovation, getting things into production in 2026 in ways that will continue to accelerate throughout the year. Underlying that, a couple of things. One, obviously a ton of innovation AWS has done at the core foundations that are necessary to put agentic AI systems in prod. We'll get into more on that. The second one is that a lot of what he talked about today wasn't actually new announcements of whole new services. In years past, you'd wait until reInvent every year to figure out what new innovations AWS has had. But because AI is moving so fast, things like the Strands SDK, Agent Core, Kiro, and many of the other key technology pieces from today's talk were actually released earlier in the year, and we're getting feature updates at reInvent. He was also helping to tie together all of the different components of the AI stack. So the models themselves and the customizations you can now do across all of the different forms of fine-tuning. Everything from training your own foundation model from scratch with Nova Forge, through to the 3 different forms of fine-tuning in Bedrock, 7 different forms of fine-tuning available to you within SageMaker AI. Notably, not much was said today on the data platform side of things. I'd look forward to tomorrow's keynote on infrastructure if I had to guess for a lot more on how you build the data foundations in order to fine-tune those models. And that really gets to the cost optimization side of things. Getting an agentic system into production means it needs to be efficient if you're going to be going at consumer or even large enterprise scale. That was then reinforced with some customer updates, including one from Kalen ourselves with our internal tooling built on Bedrock Agent Core that's been in production for most of this year, but also from Blue Origin, who has built 2,700, I believe, agents that are being used in production to help them from everything from finding the right information to building new moon heating systems with very confusing names. Huge shout out to Will Brennan. Great job up there, buddy. The other theme that I saw here was within Agent Core, the 2 highlights that Swami called out was number 1, identity. The ability to pass who I am in through my agentic interactions, both out to tools so that when I call that Salesforce API or I send that message to Slack, it's doing it as me, not just as the bot. And 2, for memory. So as I'm interacting with my agent, it is learning about what I do, what I am interested in, so that I can get that truly personalized experience across the agent itself and all of the tools that it interacts with. The last thing there is really around the speed of innovation being essentially necessitating choice. And so AWS is continuing to allow a massively open marketplace, getting the right innovations from the right place, highlighted by Vercel being called out on stage to talk through infrastructure innovations and AI SDKs that also provide some of the same functionality as Strands and Agent Core, because on AWS, you can build using the tools that are right for you, and you can always continue to take the latest and greatest as it becomes available versus waiting for the cloud provider to provide their specific updates. Underneath of that, I think the last call out here was really the power of the community. So Swami highlighted things like the Road to reInvent call out to the Kaki team from Kalen and many of our AWS heroes on that front. Some of the work being done in community innovation, using agents to solve real world problems in many countries around the world. So coupled with the identity, there's also a need for agents to have enforceable guardrails that guarantee certain bad things can't happen. The example today of, I don't know that I would trust an AI agent to go buy things on the internet. It'd be like giving my daughter my credit card and just saying, buy all the things that I want. I may end up with a pony. On the other hand, if I had this type of guardrail where I could enforceably say no purchases can be made using Stripe or any other APIs, or no updates or deletes could be made to my production AWS account by this agent, I'd feel a lot more safe putting that into production. Amazon's automated reasoning functionalities are really differentiated from the other cloud providers and other AI labs in their sophistication and the number of production uses they've already got within the platform. So look for them to continue building on that to add that reliability layer in a differentiated way over time. And then that forward-looking moment where he highlighted at the beginning and the end, remember the first time that you got a program to work, which for me was on my TI-86 calculator in like science class in 8th grade. And really just highlighting that we are just so close to the infancy of these tools, even with all of their powerful capabilities. I still remember that, like, wow, I can now make my calculator do whatever it is that I need it to do. But if you look at that compared to what I do today in writing code, it's a world different, and that's the journey we're really just getting started on today. Looking forward to more reInvent recaps. Continue to follow the channel here. We'll be here tomorrow. Thank you so much, and keep building.